So my Easter egg turned out so much better this year than last year. I'm super excited with it. Not quite the oven spring I was hoping for. A little bit flat. I may have overproved it when I was busy at work, but um, I'm excited with how the scoring turned out, especially my little wheat stalks, and I can't wait to cut into it. To score this loaf, I first drew out my design on a piece of paper and got a rough idea of what I wanted to do. I put the zigzags through the center of the loaf so that my expansion score would be in the middle. I used a dowel rod to etch out the design on my loaf so I would know where I wanted to go. I used 3 sets of zigzag lines so that I would end up with a total of like 2 zigzags that I was going to cut into squares. Here I'm drawing the rough outline of where I want my wheat stalks to be. And then I wanted some little flowers at the top. And a little border at the very top. The cool thing about using the dowel rod is if you don't like where you put your design, you can just erase that little section and redraw it. And I find when I'm doing scoring, anything that I put on the paper isn't what actually ends up on my loaf. I just kind of go with the flow and get a rough idea of what I want. And again, when I'm scoring, it's never exactly like I did the little dowel rod outline, but at least it gives me a good plan on what I want to do. And here I'm scoring the zigzags first, and I'm maybe going 1/8 of an inch into the dough. Not real far because I didn't want them to splay much while I was cutting them. And I did the top and bottom zigzag first, and then later I did the one that's going to go through the middle. So here I am cutting the middle one now. And I did a little zigzag border near the top as well. Now I'm doing the wheat stalks. I've been working on making these a little more prominent than I used to. At Amori Fermentum has some great guidelines on how to do wheat stalks. She mentions never scoring that center line. Just use it as a guideline. And then when you make each little slash, overlap it just a little bit. And start at the base of your wheat stalk and work towards the top. Next, I'm going to score like 2 little roses near the top. Now I'm just using the little stork scissors to just snip like a little star pattern in there. Mostly because I had just a little empty space in there and not enough room to make some other big flowers. Now I'm using these to cut little squares, and you don't want to go very deep into the dough, maybe that same eighth of an inch. And I'm really trying to watch ahead so that I have like a perfect square at the tip of each of those zigzags. And I'm trying to make them as uniform as possible and not go any deeper than the initial cuts. I just really like this effect of the little squares within the zigzags. They make a great border. Now I'm using a dowel rod to just poke some little holes into the loaf. So there's just little dots that add a little fun effect. Kind of fills up some of the empty space when you do that. Lastly, you want to go back and make a deeper expansion score, maybe 1/4 of an inch, between your two set of zigzag squares. And we're going to cut this one a little differently than normal. It's a little harder to do it on the zigzag. It's kind of fun though. Imagine if we all did all our crumb shots like that. That'd be crazy. But this is kind of fun. I like it. The crumb's actually not too bad, all things considered. So anyway, that's my little Easter egg.